According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, children aged 6 to 11 in the United States who were obese increased from 7% in 1980 to nearly 18% in 2012. This is a tremendous leap in childhood obesity, and it should alarm every American. Childhood obesity is a serious problem in our country, and it only seems to be getting worse. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines obesity as a condition characterized by the excessive accumulation and storage of body fat. Obesity in children is especially alarming because it puts them at high risk for many diseases, can lead to psychological disorders, and often leads to obesity in adulthood. Now that you know what obesity is, let's talk more about why it's such a problem in children. Childhood obesity is so concerning because it can cause serious diseases in children. Some of the more commonly seen diseases associated with childhood obesity include type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure and cholesterol, asthma, sleep disorders, and several others. Most of these diseases were typically seen in adults, but because of such high rises in the numbers of childhood obesity, it's also becoming more common in children. They are serious, life-threatening diseases in adults, and even more so in children. In an article on letsmove.com, it says, in a sample of 5 to 17-year-olds, almost 60% of overweight children had at least one risk factor for cardiovascular disease, and 25% had 2 or more risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease is a leading killer in America, and it's really scary to think that children as young as 2 years old are being exposed to the risk of this disease just because of poor life choices. Not only are there serious physical consequences associated with obesity in children, but my next point is that there also can be major emotional and psychological effects. Obesity may be a physical problem, but it definitely takes a toll on a person's emotional side. Obesity has been known to lead to bullying in children. In fact, 1 out of 4 overweight children report serious problems with bullying, according to LiveScience.com. This makes these children feel worthless and have no self-confidence, because to a child, what another person thinks about them means everything. Most importantly, all of this bullying usually leads to depression. Depression is really hard for children to deal with because they don't know how to let their emotions out or their frustrations, and many doctors aren't quite sure how to treat depression in children. Probably one of the most significant effects of childhood obesity is that it often leads to obesity in adulthood. This is obviously a problem because every problem that is associated with childhood obesity is also associated with obesity in adulthood, plus some. When a person has been obese throughout their entire life, they often constantly face health problems, they have psychological problems, and they're usually just not very happy people. Tracy Bridger says 40% of overweight children become obese adults. This is an alarming number, and something needs to be done to change that. Today, I've talked about why obesity is such a problem in children. It can lead to many diseases, can cause psychological problems, and it also leads to obesity in adulthood. What are we going to do to change this, America?